thank you very much for the opportunity and welcome to my colleagues in the industry. Crealco is a product brand of Wispeco, and Wispeco Aluminium is essentially an extruder of aluminium profiles. We operate, if you listened to Peter earlier, where he's mentioned Rio, which is a systems provider of his business, we are essentially operating on that level of the industry. So what is Crealco? And I'll go into a bit of more detail. It's the Wispeco's brand with progressive functionalities, architectural aluminium systems with thermal efficient properties. It's got design and compliance assurance software which fabricators can issue to homeowners like yourself or to the architect, and that gives some peace of mind. Yeah, we don't say to the industry we sell extrusions, we actually sell a solution. We actually sell comfort and durability and functionality for you. You just happen to get a great looking window. So for families, for your property, for your businesses, etc. So we've got a range of products that fits in. The Crealco brand signifies innovation. We continually try to develop new systems to keep up with market trends, aesthetic appeal, legislation obviously very important. We try to keep it modern. Energy efficiency is obviously very important in our legislation and in our current environment. The green word, it's almost a word that's sort of been abused in the industry. It's not an abused word in our life because our extrusions are manufactured from billet. It's big cylindrical portions of aluminium that we produce from recycled aluminium. So as buildings get demolished, we buy back post-industrial consumer scrap into our own furnaces. We put it in our furnaces, we cast our own billet, and that process only consumes 5% of the energy it uses to cast aluminium virgin ingot from, let's say, Bayside Aluminium in Richards Bay, which is one of the biggest smelters in the world. So our process uses 5% of that, and we use post-industrial consumer scrap. And that is why we've been accredited by eco-specifiers as well. And obviously aluminium has got it's an energy bank. Once you demolish the building, it can be recycled into perpetuity. It never loses its abilities and its composition. And obviously our systems, we make sure it's compliant, and I'm not going to touch on legislation. I think my esteemed colleagues touched on that quite a lot. The brand, when I started in the industry a couple of years ago, aluminium windows was aluminium windows, and you had aluminium windows, and then this guy sold aluminium windows, and then the Chinese started selling aluminium windows, and you just have aluminium windows. But there's so many different systems and solutions for different applications that we tried to make sense of it ourselves, first of all, because we had all these systems. And we devised this little breakdown to assist the homeowners or the public, because you would, at some stage, when you sent out a tender for windows, you would get 3 quotes, and each quote is quoting on a different system. And obviously you're not comparing apples and apples, but the industry does not know that. And with this we try to make some sense, Graham. So we've got many different systems, because the Crealco brand is actually a systems development brand. We've got marketing supporting it. We've got a technical team that designs systems with working with the technical committees on ARMSA. Peter mentioned ARMSA, that's the industry body that's assisting us technically, making sure that we comply to legislation, etc.
Jacques, this categories, if you like, relates a lot to how you're going to promote your product, but also, is it also an entry to your website? So if we're going in, I mean, the tower is obviously, I would guess, is offices, home is home, mansions are more upmarket, more expensive type.
Yes.
So it's easy for the consumer, if they're going to search for something, that this is the entry or the landing page.
Yes, that is not actually the landing page, because we try to, in our website, we try to educate the consumer about Crealco and about fenestration in general, Graham. But if you go into the products page of our website, we break that up, and I think most people I saw took a little matrix, which I think are 2, there's the matrix, is to break down and to give some guideline to the homeowner or the architect even, that when he starts with a project, if he knows it's a you know, anything up to 500,000 rand type of house, you would go and look in the home systems around there, and you would go and look and start at those typical window systems. And if you look at doors, you know, we should just give it as a guide. So for mansions, you can use any of those systems. Yes, you can go for a more beefier system if you want a beefier look. And if you build a house in Mauritius and you need hurricane strength, our new system, Peter mentioned A6, we just managed to get A6, but we couldn't get A7 because Ari couldn't do it.
As well.
So we can design anything eventually, but to guide the homeowner or the property owner, we devised this to say, if you, let's say you're building a big building, you're going looking at facade systems that's suitable for that type of project. So it just gives you a starting point when you start to specify, or you want to go and see how this thing looks, what do I go and look for? Because there's many products on our website, and we've got showrooms across the country as well.
As we touched on with Peter, the process as a homeowner is probably through your architect.
Yes.
But an awareness of products, being able to go to Tiva or to Creelco and have a look at, just give me an idea of what's out there.
What and where.
But the ultimate decision, or the decision-making process, because of energy efficiency and orientation of that, the architect has to be very much part of that.
Yes.
That process.
Graham, I'm going to touch on that towards the end of the slideshow, because we've got software that we do offer to the industry, and I'll just show you also where we fit into the value chain and the support tools that we give to the industry, because we have, as an extruder, we sell to bulk stockists that will now stock 6 or 7 meter of the profile for a, let's say for that door, if it was made out of aluminium, you would probably require 7 different profiles. And we will extrude them, and the stockers will buy them in 7 meter lengths, put them in warehouses, and then a fabricator, aluminium equivalent of Tiva that's making windows and doors and installing them in your houses, they will then buy from these stockers the required material, the profiles, the handles, the gaskets, the friction stays, draft excluders, etc. from the stockers, and then assemble this product according to the gap size that you've now mentioned earlier, after the measuring, and then they will then install it. So there's different products, and we don't make a window and door. We design the systems, we give the software, and then from the software the fabricator can say, right, this is the architect's building plans, or the architect has a software tool as well where he then designs and say, I need this U value, so he can use the different systems with different glass combinations. For instance, PG glass is also on the software with the actual real U values. And with our aluminium framing systems using actual real U values, the architect can now design looking at cost as it changes from different systems and with different glass to get to a compliance equation, which is obviously in Science 204 as my.
Peter touched on the same service for the UPVC, but I think both guys might smile when maybe not even 3 years ago, if you spoke about that, some people were dreaming about it, but it was rocket science. And now it's made life a lot easier for particularly for architects, but it also ensures that you have a better home.
Yes.
Because now it's been worked out properly.
Yes.
Not just saying, well, we think maybe let's have a go at that window on the west side and we'll try this one on the east and so on.
Yeah, the software is important because we test products physically in hot box systems, which we all have to do, because when we promote our systems with certain performance values, we need to say we've tested this, so what we are promoting is actually ratified scientifically somewhere. And so we do test these, and then so when the architect or the homeowner then specifies, he actually knows, you know, what I'm specifying here is not a default value that's built into SANS, because SANS don't cater for actual values. So they think, okay, maybe more or less there. But that's overstated. So if you use the actual values from product suppliers and solution providers like the UPVC guys and the aluminium guys, obviously good aluminium guys, then you would get compliant product using actual performance values. Yeah. Just in respect to the value chain, typically you have the homeowner initiating the project, then you get an architect involved, you get the building contractor, the installer, and I'm talking for illustration in this diagram, the installer of the windows and doors, the fabricator of the windows and doors, In our life, we've got stockists or distributors of the profiles, etc., and then you have the extruder that's actually making this profiles, extruding it. So Wispeco as a extruder fits into that level, and then we also on the extrusion level we have the Crealco brand, which is mainly our product brand, because unfortunately many years ago Wispeco was also known to be the garage door supplier of the industry, and up to today we have calls for garage doors, and we sold that business off. Unfortunately, the previous management team sold the name with the garage door to Giro, and Giro is obviously liquidated. So we decided we needed a clean brand for our products, and we devised the Crealco brand, which is a resemblance of evolution. So I'm not going to touch on that. South African building regulations, safety glazing, very, very important. Flood glass is mentioned, but in certain up to 1.8 meter normally, you have to have safety glass, which is either toughened or laminated glass, like your vehicle's windscreen. So safety glazing is very important. The 613 is the mechanical properties of the fenestration. If you go high with your windows or very wide opening panels, you need certain strength in those load-bearing members, which is normally a vertical members. You've got a sliding door where the sliding door meets each other. Those are load-bearing members, so you need different strength, and the mechanical guys will calculate those calculations.
Sorry, Jacques, with regard to safety, we know in the energy efficiency calculations, the architect is essentially telling you what glass to put in the windows.
Yeah.
It's his responsibility.
Yes.
When it comes to safety within a residential environment, you generally don't find anything on the drawings with regard to safety. And I know recently, correct me if I'm wrong, but safety glazing now is required in a bathroom.
Yes.
So that if you slip in a bathroom, you don't go through the window.
Correct.
Would you as manufacturers or your fabricators, and I might say this at Peter as well, you would supply the right glass?
Yes.
Or do you have to be told to do it?
No, the fabricator eventually takes the onus. The responsibility is on the fabricator. So what we do as a systems designer, we build all the legislation checks within our software, because if they use our software to design the window from your window schedule, from your building plans, and even the architects, also his responsibility, and that's why we've got USOLF, which I will touch on later. Then as he designs, we'll check for those vertical members, as I've mentioned, for the mechanical performance, and it will also check the safety glazing aspects of the glass to ensure that when he manufactures this glass and installs it at the specified location, it is in compliance with that legislation.
So when the architect submits the drawings, there are a whole lot of responsibilities that they need to take care of, and there's a reference to a SANS regulation. And one of those regulations is safety glazing. So they're saying, yes, the plans are done in terms of that, but it doesn't really explain anything. Now that architect hasn't been employed properly, so they've submitted the plans and then off you go. And now it's the contractor, the homeowner, and we start to run out of budget, so the safety glazing in the bathroom goes out the, pun, goes out the window.
Yeah.
But if you're a manufacturer saying, no, we won't do it like that.
Yeah.
We will only do it the right way. Then there's a sort of a backup.
Yeah, there is. Yes, we will get to that. Typically in the industry, you have, for aluminium windows specifically, you have mass manufacturers that makes windows in factories and they just churn out windows. And then you've got fabricators that makes windows according to the window schedule, which was 2.4. Now he measured is now 2.3, so now he makes it according to 2.3. But he then eventually installs it in that location, and for that location the legislation says safety glazing. He then gives commitment to that. But if just an installer buying at cash built a window which was made by somebody else, that person that made the window doesn't know where the window is going. So the installer now takes that responsibility to ensure that where in that location he is putting in a safety glazed product according to the wind loads that's specified, which is a very complex technical discussion, which I can have with you, but I'll do it offline. But we do offer through the value chain some assurance, which I will touch on towards the end. Okay, so 204 we've spoken about a lot. Heat transfer through fenestration. We've seen here that there's heat, but mainly air leakage. Many people forget about air leakage. There is very complex types of seals for any window. There's brush welds, and please come and have a look at them towards the end. There's brush welds, you get EPDM rubber, you get Santaprene rubber, you get PVC, and then you get fin seal. And they all have different properties. Now, sometimes for acoustic reasons, Graham, you want to put maybe a rubber type of gasket in because, like myself, we stay in Glenmarais, close to the airport. I've got the casement 34 with low E single glaze hard coat glass. I don't put it on a heater in my house anymore during the winter, and I don't hear necessarily the aeroplanes taking off during the night because I have studied this because it's my work, and I've choose a very good acoustic seal, and we don't have any air infiltration. So with single glazing, I managed to get to a comfort place. I did the calculations obviously on our software as well.
So Jacques, what you're saying there from an acoustics point of view, if the window sealing, you're not only sealing out the draft and air, you're sealing out
sound as well, correct, yes. And obviously if you now want to go further, like hotels around the airport, I would imagine they would put double glazing in with a proper sealing in their framing system as well. Okay, and then conductance, that's the U value which Kevin also touched on, and it basically includes the effects of both conduction and convection, and is largely dependent on the choice of glazing material, frame material, and frame design. With clever frame design, although aluminium is not a good conductor, we managed to get compliance with the legislation easily, even using conventional systems. So I always say, you know, you can go and buy the AMG ML, and but you need that to get from here to Benoni or whatever. So what do you need to comply and to have comfort in your home? There's many options in between that, and we've heard double glazing, we have heard PVC, we've heard low E, single glass and aluminium. All those options gives you compliance at the end of the day. And then radiation, which is a solar effect of glazing, which Kevin also touched on. I'm not going to go into that detail. Typical framing system, you've seen the PVC sample going around. I've also got some samples lying here in front of me, which we can send around, but it's mainly made out of a mullion type of profile, which is the load bearing profile, a transom, which is if you've got sashes, which is the opening panel. So you've got different profiles for each of those profiles to give you the end system, and those designs are done according and checked against the SAN 613 to make sure that it's structurally strong, it can carry the weight of the glass that's been installed, and typically the width of that profile determines what thickness of glass you can put in. So we've got single glazing glass systems that you can get compliance to if you build a house with a certain window to floor area ratio, that you can get away with single glazing and still comply to SANS 204, the energy efficiency calculations. And if you want to go bigger and wider windows, there's bigger aluminium frames that can carry these type of glass specified earlier.
Jacques, once you've done the sealers, could we get to that last slide? Because cameras are running out of image.
That's just the seals that I've mentioned. You get the normal brush weld, the fin seal, which is the same as that, but it's got a little fin inside, and then you get the bubble seal and the white type of seal. This is the air leakage that we managed from testing our systems. You are allowed 2 liters per square meter per second air leakage. With that seal, we got 0.61 liters per square meter per second. With that seal, 0.36, and with those seals, 0.3. And so, you know, it depends on the type of seal that you put in. It also affects the. Those are just typical mansion type products which you would see from our catalog. Westerfold. I'm just going to show you a couple of pictures there. That you've got brochures there today as well. The Palace, you can go up to 3 meters wide, high with that system. Can take double glazing, and you can get compliance with that. That's the Serene Tilt and Turn. It's a European style window. It opens inward, or the system can also do outward opening. It's got a 3-seal system, so it's got high acoustic values. You can combine shutters with that, and it can tilt for security reasons or open completely like that. That's the shutters from the outside, the Horizon shutter system. That's our balustrade system. This is just typical. That's the casement windows, which is your normal outward opening windows. I've seen as I drove in the window configurations is cottage pane. We've got little cottage pane mullions that you can break up those those panels to have like a little cottage pane configuration, which is very nice. The Norman our Guardian security barrier, multi-lock sashes, as per also per the UPVC to give one handle with multiple locking systems. Support software, I've mentioned that. It's Agrima certified. Engineers from Agrima, which is parallel to SABS, checks the custom designs solutions. This is for fabricators, so when they design, they actually check that it sounds compliant through 613, the structural ceiling and safety glazing. USolve is for architects, so if you have your architect designing your house for you, ask him, you know, you can have real U values and I want these aluminium systems, so please use USolve. And do all those checks. Those are different window systems. There is literature on our website of this for different U values. You can get up with thermal break, you can get up to a very low U value. Just want to see 2.4, which is overkill for South African conditions in some cases. That's the compliance regulations, and this is where we fit in SAN 603-204, which is the two main ones. We've got tested products for that. We have Starfront for fabricators to check that. We don't need, oops, don't know what happened there. Just jumped, okay. And then we have Agrima certified software for that. I've got that one. This is just our software solutions. FPD, if you go back to the fabricator, we've got Starfront software. If you go to the architect, USolve for him. And Revit families. Graham mentioned Revit. We've got comprehensive Revit families with actual U values. So if your architect uses Revit to do your 3D rendering of your product or your project, we have Revit data that they can pull in the specified product. It then specifies in his bill of quantity or resources that information, and then the FPD is a fenestration performance declaration. Those are just the different associations.
Sorry, on that, Jacques, I'm sorry if we're rushing a
no,
little bit,
fine.
but this was something that I found quite interesting when I chatted to you guys previously, because you're essentially extruding aluminium. In a similar way to Rayhow, they're making UPVC. And then it's going through a whole supply channel and getting to the end user. So as it goes, it's getting made and sold and specified and whatever. But through quite a clever system, the end user has a guarantee.
Yes.
Through your fabricators.
Yes, and that is the Corelco Fenestration Performance Declaration. We call it the FPD. It is essentially, why does it do that? Jumps now, very couple of slides. Essentially, what we say is, watch out, you know, ask the right questions. As when I came into the industry, I also didn't know what a window is all about, but you know, you get problems like these, windows just popping out after a gust of wind. This was a case in Midrand where after a gust of wind the facade actually fell onto the SLK and the E-Class brand new showroom of Mercedes-Benz. And it's because in this case it wasn't installed properly. The system was fine. The product was made well. The right profiles were used for the structural inertias, but it wasn't fixed properly. So it just popped out of the facade with the first gust of wind. So through this, so where do you start? What questions do you ask to ensure that you get durable products? And what are the building regulations? We actually devised this. So we say, ask just one question from your aluminium fabricator. Do you issue a Corelco FPD, Fenestration Performance Declaration? Because if he does that, and I'm going to show to you why, we actually enable the architect to design for the builder to fabricate, and then at the end of the day, all the people in that chain can issue this composite document to say that I've done my bit that I had to do within this value chain. And I don't know why it's doing that. So basically what it does, it confirms that I've used Agrima certified design software competently. I've used genuine material because, as we know, things get copied in the East. And our products is popular, and our products is very highly copied. So if the guy issues
Sorry
this,
to rush you, Jacques. Once you go to the certificate,
yes, that's the
you've
certificate.
got a number of handouts today.
Yes.
Is that one of them?
It's one of them, yes.
It's either on the tables outside or upstairs. And
it's
so
on our website.
that's the final, you get that, your windows are guaranteed. It's gone through this system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a composite document issued by the final installer and the architect or the designer of that systems, and we ourselves endorses the software. So when you have that, you can issue that even as a glazing conformance certificate to the building inspector to say that these products conform. And at the end of the day, the architect, Graham, also have peace of mind that what is specified a year earlier, now let's say a year later the building is completed, that what is actually been installed was what I specified initially.
Jacques.
Thanks.